Another one that came out of the AFPP that I don't think, Tony, you would have seen was October Before I Was Born, that was based on an event that happened in Kingsport when there was an explosion at the Eastman building, and what would have happened in this family that was waiting to get news of whether any of the family members had been in the explosion.
Don't you guys have a tradition of, like, the people who have been here longer might help some of the actors who have not been here as long and take them under your wing or something like that?
Well, there was a thing we were doing that we do. It's we refer to it as Barter Buddy. So like when somebody new coming into the company, there's just somebody there that, because it's weird coming into a company of people who've been working together for a long time. I hated calling it that because it sounded kind of cultish. And if there's a new person coming into the company, I say, "Hi, I'm Nick. I'm your barter buddy." Like if somebody came up to me and said they were my barter buddy, I'd ask them to leave. But it was kind of just like, it was just more making sure that somebody felt welcome, knew their way around, knew how to get certain things done. Just that. So I mean, I think a lot of theaters do that. It's important, but I think it's just it was something that we talked a lot about. Is how do we make people who are coming into the company, because people will come in just for the summer, maybe for a big musical or something. How do we make them feel part of our company as opposed to guests in our company? So that's. Yeah.
But I have to say, it's because it's really interesting. When I came in 2005, I came in as a replacement for someone who had to leave. And the first show I did was only a 3-person show. And I didn't meet anybody else for ages. I was up at the Barter Inn by myself, and here one of the problems is that because we have homes and we have lives and things like that, we tend to, rehearsal ends, we go home and be with our families because we don't see them otherwise, and we have things to do. And so here I was, the new kid, and I came in like at the beginning of the summer because my show was going to be in the fall, and I didn't know anybody, and it took forever because then finally we started rehearsals on the musical, and I met a few more people, but it was really lonely when I first came in. And so I think more and more we've been better at trying to say, "Hey, hi, you're the new kid." So it really kind of depends on when you're coming in. Like Kim came in at the beginning of a season, so we were more able to go, "Oh, hi, you're the new person." Whereas I came in the middle, they were already running 2 shows and in rehearsal for shows, and everybody was so busy that my experience coming in was very, very different.
So that helps with the advantage that Nick had at Over the River and Through the Woods. You had you didn't have to spend the first 2 weeks, right? Training people to become an ensemble. So this kind of helps that process, right?
Yeah. And that's, just at the very basic level, you just want somebody to feel comfortable and welcome, particularly when they're about to be working with people who've worked together for a long time, and just so that there's this, kind of understanding that you're not here to prove anything. We're glad you're here, and we're glad we get to work with you. So that's just, the more comfortable you can make somebody, the better their work's going to be. That's true. That's true just about anywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we could talk about this for a long time, but I just want to bring this home about advantages of longevity. Your working relationship with others. There's a lot of people who have met at Barter and become couples. You guys. Mm-hmm. Nick and Wendy, both Barter actors, and Sean and Ashley, and Justin and Carrie, and Rick, Rose, and Amanda, and Katie and Kathy Bush, new artistic director, and Kathy Bush, the resident playwright. And does this help?
Well, I don't know if it helps.
Well, it's got to. It's got to.
Here's the thing. It's you know, you fall in love, and that's great. But I think what's difficult is, what's challenging is that if you're not in a relationship, it's very hard to meet people because of what our work schedule is. So if you're going to meet somebody who's not working on the same schedule, it's hard to meet somebody. Like if I was single and looking to meet someone, and I say, yeah, my day off's Monday. Like, well, that's a work day for everybody else in the world. I don't, so it's just very difficult to meet other people when you're working as kind of as much, and the weird hours that we do too. So, we're done with work at 10:30 or 11 at night. And yeah, so, and you can't like call in sick, right? Because there's nobody else to do your role. So, the result of that is that you miss lots of weddings and funerals and birthday parties and all that. So yeah, but I think, I mean, it certainly helps. I mean, I don't know. I won't speak for anyone else, but like it's helped for Wendy and I. We've gotten to do shows together on stage, a two-hander or something, that, so there's already kind of a relationship there again. It doesn't help once you get home, and you got to get notes for the second time once director and one from your wife. Yeah.
I think it definitely has its pluses and minuses. I think, as everybody will attest, in any career job that they're in, if they're working with their significant other in that same job, you have your, how do we keep it separate at home as opposed to at work, and but I think here, one of the reasons Barter can exist is sometimes people do want to settle in and have homes and have families and be able to have a life outside of the typical actor that is going from job to job to job and place to place to place. And so I think it helps sometimes to want to settle in and to be in that here. I think sometimes people leave because they can't find someone else to be with here. But everybody's different. I mean, everybody has to work differently. And I mean, we have plenty of people who have partners who are not at the Barter. We have plenty of those people as well. So. Mm-hmm.
Good point. And I'm going to tell you that this concept of home at Barter and in Abingdon is a very important one to me, because I spent 20 years freelancing and going from theater to theater. And and Kim, if I spent 3 years at a theater, I would say that's a good long run. And yeah. And the concept, I had to learn that. It was an adjustment for me, because it was a warm and empowering adjustment for me. But it was an adjustment. But you guys don't just do acting. Nick, like you mentioned, you direct.
Yeah.
And I mean, and not just well. You. Tricia does too. And Tricia, you're a acting coach.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy does improv, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Nick, you do the AFPP, which is the Appalachian Festival of Plays and Playwrights.
Right.
How did that start?
That started. It actually started. I wasn't here when it actually started. That was Rick and the then associate artistic director Tom Chelly. They felt that there was kind of a gap in the theatrical literature of authentic Appalachian work, and they wanted Barter to be a place where that work could get developed. So it's basically our new play development program, and each year we select 6 or 7 new plays to be read, and they go, and as part of the process, our audience comes in and they give feedback, and then we develop the show, and hopefully it gets a full production. We've produced a lot of shows out of that festival. I think it's one of the things that's been very successful about it, and what makes playwrights happy is that the plays that go through that actually get produced, many of them, as opposed to it's just another reading, which for a playwright is a usual thing. Anyway, and then in 2005, I was asked to start running because somebody else was leaving, and I've been doing it since then. So yeah, that's how it started, and it's an important program for us just because it's developing new work that matters to our audience. So, and gets them to be part of the process of developing it, which is important too.
Cool.
And I find that to be some of the best work we do. I mean, I really enjoy that process, and I enjoy the discovery of new works, and especially works about this area. I find it to be very, very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Why is that important? This, of course, Barter is in Appalachia. So why is it important to develop plays that have something to do with Appalachia, right?
Do you want? Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody can speak up. If I ask Nick a question, Kim, you want to answer it? Please
I think one of the things is that just the theater at large, what's very important is that we are part of the community, and we are the community's theater. So developing work that reflects their lives with their input is gratifying on all ends, and it makes a very invested patron, you know. So that's I think that's one of the big things about it that's important is that it's developing new work that reflects our audience. Now, our audience doesn't always want to see Appalachian plays. You know, they also want to escape to worlds that they've never considered or been before. But that's one of the reasons. You know, there's a lot of very hard set stereotypes set about Appalachia. And one of the things of this festival is that it busts up a lot of those stereotypes, which I think is important too.
Yeah, I think it's sort of to piggyback on that. I think like something Nick said early on in this conversation is, and I think this is a key to longevity too, with the rigorous schedule that we have, is that if you have this service mindset for the art that you're creating, and that I think that to me is part and parcel of Barter's mission in this region and in the local community and like the larger Appalachia community. And I think that's part of it. And I also think that like the engagement of an audience over the course of an AFPP weekend, where they get to meet the playwright, they get to have talkbacks and give their feedback and watch the playwright react to it in real time. And then I feel like the best audience is an educated audience. And so I think it gives them a greater appreciation for what we do across the board, not just with those plays necessarily. And then I think they feel so much more invested in the mission of Barter, but also in being a well-informed audience member sort of writ large across other theaters, across the whole genre. And then they'll want to know more, they'll want to see more as they understand it better, sort of how we all are with anything.
Oh, that makes so much sense. That makes a lot of sense. And that goes right into there's a new initiative this year, right? Or was it in 2020?
Yeah, that's right. This year, we started a new initiative called Black in Appalachia, which is dedicated to developing and supporting new Black Appalachian playwrights. So as part of that, we going forward, the AFPP is going to read at least one play by a Black Appalachian playwright at each festival, and we're also trying to get opportunities to develop new playwrights as well. So we're doing workshops and throughout the year in order to just start generating more new Black playwrights in our region.
And what's the purpose of that?
Well, there has not, in the years that I've been running the festival, there's only been a handful of plays, if even, written by Black playwrights. And, it's important that we see diverse stories on our stages and that we're able to reflect the entire Appalachian experience. And it's more important than ever. So we're very excited about it because like the potential of it is huge, and and also because we just feel like it's a really important thing to do right now.
It ties right into what Kim was saying about Barter's mission of service.
Yeah.
And this isn't on a card, but people don't.
I don't answer questions that aren't on cards.
Oh, okay. I need that. Because a lot of people don't know this, but Appalachia is a very ethnically diverse area. Its roots are all over the place.
Right.
It's not just African Americans, or I mean, it's not just hillbillies. It's all different people from Europe, people from Asia, people from Africa. And so I love it that we're doing. And what's the title of it? Black
in Appalachia initiative is what it is. There's an organization in Knoxville called Black in Appalachia who does histories about stories about Black people in Appalachia, and we worked with them, and they were kind enough to let us use the name for the initiative. And so it was great getting to know them and partner with them, and hopefully do some more work with them, because their organization out of Knoxville is really amazing. The work that they're doing. Yeah.
Was Sally McCoy part of AFPP?
It was.
Yes.
Well, was that a tough role for you?
For me? Yeah.
I think they'd rather hear about the role I played in it, don't you think?
It's because you had to be a real
We're talking
nasty
about
guy,
Sally
and that's so hard for you.
It is one of my favorite Tricia Matthews roles. And
Me too.
That's a high bar, because she's done so many.
As opposed to Debbie and Doyle. I'm sorry, Tricia.
No, I absolutely loved doing Sally McCoy. It was such a challenge, which is one of the things that's so interesting here. And I think I would say to people who you are talking to about Sanford Meisner said, you don't even begin to learn how to act for 20 years. And I think we forget that. We tend to think, oh, it's, if I take 3 classes, I'm going to be an actor. And I think that one of the things that we learn here at Barter is that you never stop learning, and you never stop pushing yourself to try something else and discover something new about yourself. And as many dramatic roles as I've played, Sally McCoy was something completely different that touched into things that I had, couldn't even imagine. So I think always having that challenge of something, because you're going to learn something about yourself. That's what I love about acting, is that every role I do, every show I do, I learn something new about me. And sometimes good, sometimes bad, but I do learn something new. And it's a great way to continue to grow as a human and not just as an actor.
Well, go ahead.
I just wanted to pitch in, because I got to be on stage with Tricia every night for that show. And it was one of those roles that we all get to do every now and then, which are life-changing, in that kind of the territory that you have to cover 8 times a week or 6 times a week or whatever we're doing it. It's not just physically exhausting, it's emotionally exhausting, and it takes every single bit of you to get through it. So it's this weird feeling, and I love roles like that, but it's this weird feeling of dread and exhilaration. Like, I'm sure Tricia on a 2-show day, like, I can't believe I got to go back and go through that again. But those are the fun roles too. Like, just somehow they're just these roles where if you think about it ahead of time and think, I can't believe I got to go do that tonight, you're dead. But the only way to do it is you're launched from the cannon. You just step on stage and you take the ride. And when you get to watch someone like Tricia take a ride like that, it had an effect on a lot of people.
What was it about? Just for people who don't know. I designed it, so so I know what it's about. But just for people who are listening.
Yeah, Sally McCoy is a fictional writing of what might have happened if Sally McCoy was the wife of Randall McCoy, who is of the McCoys, Hatfields and McCoys, and that whole family battle that was happening between the two of them. And there is a specific night that she had in mind where what if Sally, the mother of the boys, showed up at Devil Ance's house to plead for them not to be killed. And it took on a lot of modern day stuff about women and fighting and struggle. It was an extremely interesting play. And that whole, I mean, to go to you, Nick, the only way I could get through it was just to say, tonight it's going to be different. Tonight I will save my sons. Tonight it will be different and I will convince them. Yeah. And that's the only way I could start the play, was just going in and going, it's going to be different. It was, and
yeah, it was based on a true event, like right, like the McCoys had killed one of the Hatfields, Ance Hatfield, who was the leader of them. They kidnapped two or three of the McCoy kids, and then ended up killing them, right?
Yeah.
But
out of pawpaw trees. Yeah,
right, that's right. But the conceit of the play, it's so brilliant because it's so simple. It's just that. It's as a mother coming over in the middle of the night to save her 3 sons from being killed. And so it's a very simple conflict, but it's impossible to achieve, and so watching that drama play out all night is just, I mean, the audience was just like, oh my God, it's great.
Me too. One of my favorites in the most recent years.
It was and another one that came out of the AFPP that I don't think, Tony, you would have seen was October Before I Was Born, that was based on an event that happened in Kingsport when there was an explosion at the Eastman building, and what would have happened in this family that was waiting to get news of whether any of the family members had been in the explosion. And oh my God, talk about a roller coaster ride to experience and go on. That one was amazing as well. Just get on the ride. Boom,
wow.
Go. Yeah.
Were you both in that?
We were both in that, yeah.
Yep.
It was done in real time. It was 90 minutes of this family. What was in the 60s, early 60s, maybe 64?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And they're just waiting to get news to hear if their father.
It was the father of the family, the son of the mother, who was married to the pregnant daughter-in-law, who she was there. So it was just the 3 of us. And then Nick was the sort of other son who had sort of fallen aside in some ways and wasn't quite as useful to anyone as he should have been. But anyway,
he wasn't as motivated as his mother had hoped, right, Tricia?
Right in Nick's wheelhouse.
Been there.
But it was, conflicts that come up with family stuff when there's, everybody's nervous. There was a party line, so they couldn't get through. Nobody could call and just say, hey, I'm checking in. Nobody knew who had been killed. They knew some people. They felt the explosion. They saw the smoke. They were just waiting and dealing with each other. And real time, 90 minutes, no intermission. We just got on it and wrote it. And oh my gosh, it was so exciting to play that one.
I'm sorry I missed it. When did you guys do it?
Wow, that was a few years ago.
2014, maybe?
Maybe.
No,
before that.
Missed it.
I think before that. I don't know. It all blends together.
Time has no meaning anymore, Tony.
I know.
Time has no meaning?
Yeah, none.
Right. We're in a pandemic.
Talk to David Hubble.
And we do 22 shows a year, and I can't name them.
I've been at places.
I have a podcast for you to listen to. I think you'll find interesting.
Oh, good.
But I'll send you the link later. But as opposed to Linklater, and was Friendly's Fire? Friendly's Fire was another very powerful piece. Did that come out of AFPP?
Yes, another one.
Yeah.
That's why we love these plays.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
talk about powerful. So, and Nick, you played the main character in a play about a Vietnam vet dealing with PTSD. Not Vietnam.
Yeah, it was kind of it wasn't Vietnam, but it was Iraq or Afghanistan. But I think it was this surreal. It was you don't know at the beginning that it's a play about that, and then over the course of the play, you realize that's what's happening because it's this very surreal play that involves, oh gosh,
Yeah,
fictional
all kinds of hallucinations.
fictional characters coming in and bees and just what I love the most about theater is that these things that are a world that you have no idea about, and you sit down in a room and you watch this world develop, and then all of a sudden it hits you what's really going on. The other thing about plays like this too, and that was another one of those things that just like that we were just talking about, is that I loved playing that role for a number of reasons, but man, it was exhausting in every way. But just like this also happened with Sally McCoy. The other thing about plays like this that most often come through our new play development program is that there are opportunities to do some kind of community outreach stuff with them. So for Friendly's Fire, for example, the material was, we had talkbacks every night after the show so that people who had seen it could stay and kind of share or not share if they wanted to, but just to find out more about it. And so we had a lot of veterans who came to this show, and we had one night where we had a veterans night, and they did a panel afterwards and shared their experiences. And so that was an extremely important part of facet of the show, was the community outreach of it, because PTSD is a very big problem in our community and in just about every community. And it's not always attached to just being in war. There's all sorts of things.
Excuse me.
And then we did a similar thing with Sally McCoy, where we actually had a Hatfield and a McCoy come and be part of a panel as well. So that's the other great thing about stuff like this, is the opportunity to get the community involved and tackle issues that our community needs to be tackled.
Love it. And neither of the shows were lame. As a veteran myself, I've seen some people try to address this issue, and it's just lame. They just don't get it. But Friendly's Fire, they got it. And Sally McCoy, what that was about, powerful. Did you play any other shows in rep while you were doing those roles? Like Tricia, when you were in Sally McCoy, were you in anything else at the time?
I had directed Bridges.
Bridges
I was directing Bridges of Madison County and in rehearsals for Sally McCoy. So once Bridges went up, then I was only in Sally McCoy. Thank God. Yeah.
Well,
I think I remember all of us talking about that during casting to make sure that was true, that you wouldn't have to do that role and also do something else. Like it was going to be important that you're able to recover from that.
Yeah.
I can't remember. What was opposite Friendly's? I can't remember that rep, so I don't know if I was in something else or not at that time.
We were rehearsing Sandland Diaries.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were about to go into that.
Darn it.
Hold on. I got the lineup from 2017. Is that one? Friendly's Fire?
I'm gonna say yes because I heard about it and I got.
It was yes. It was. I directed Ghost Come Out Tonight, which was.
That Ghost. Okay.
Oh yeah, not Ghost in the Meadow.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, but Ghost Come Out Tonight, and I directed that, which was like a mystery that Kathy Bush had written, and then I was in Friendly's Fire, right? So that worked out that way too, so that once those shows were up, then Tricia and I were only doing 4 shows a week as opposed to 8.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense. But also, how are you able to invest in a role and you cannot avoid investing in those roles, I mean, putting yourself completely into the performance, how do you go from that to going home and figuring out what you're going to rehearse the next day?